The India flower industry. I was mentioning that the industry itself is showing a lot of growth, and being one of the leading flower breeding companies in the world, we wanted to bring together all the stakeholders in this market to have a brainstorm and share data and thoughts. So this is a webinar where we share insights, but we actively kindly ask you to actively engage with us, making use of the Q&A button that you see at the bottom of your screen. At any moment, feel free to provide feedback and ask questions. There are several moments during the webinar where we will discuss those questions. Our aim is to really fuel this wave of innovation that we see happening throughout India. And before I forget, we kindly inform you that this webinar is being recorded and will be published on several media afterwards. So to validate our thoughts and assumptions, we have conducted a comprehensive market research with several case studies to get a good grip on the trends and developments in this sector. And in this webinar, we're going to share the insights that we have collected, and we made use of a student who did an internship in our organization. Again, we'd like to say thanks to our student Vinayak for his great effort and great presentation that he gave us. I'd like to point out that that was the foundation of this webinar. So going over the flow of the presentation, I have started. I will zoom in on India's pot and bedding flower industry. Then I'm going to talk about landscaping, what it is, the different types of landscaping that we see. And then we go into Vinayak's research data. We will make some analysis and draw some conclusions. And then I'm handing over to Ivan, our flower whisperer and the most knowledgeable person of flowers in the northern and southern hemisphere. And he is going to talk about how to choose the proper crops for your landscape design in the different climate patterns in India. He will show you a suitable portfolio for these climates. He will also explain why that is, and he will give some technical advice on how to prepare the area and how to prepare plants for the harsh conditions that landscaping sometimes has to offer. So today, we're going to zoom in on the upcoming trend of the landscaping in India's pot and bedding industry. Last spring 25, I traveled for the first time to India to visit and engage directly to growers. I have been working in this market or for this market now for over 6 years, but mainly through the support of my colleagues. Unfortunately, due to COVID, thus far I didn't found the opportunity to engage with growers directly, and for a marketeer that's very hard to work in such a manner. So I was very happy to finally visit the market, and I took some snapshots. Clockwise from upper left. Lower standard in germination is more often accepted in India compared to most other markets due to the manual transplanting. In the right bottom image, you see that transportation can create additional quality hazards. Lower middle image, I think that's the image that most people will associate with the Indian flower culture. The largest crop in the nation. Everyone knows about the Tagetes erecta, which is primarily used for garland marigolds and worshipping. I learned from engaging with growers that this is a market with a lot of potential, but that there are some serious issues that prevent the growth from really taking up. Um, the majority of the young plant raisers or nurseries throughout the country are predominantly cost driven and have insufficient focus on quality. And the transaction towards finished plant erasers or FPRs um, have insufficient feedback loop to get paid for quality. And by this, I mean that FPRs have no way to really challenge lower quality, and that the young plant raisers have no incentive to drive quality and ask for a higher price. This is because both parties have more focus currently on transaction than on long-term relationship. And therefore, we see that a shift in focus towards quality throughout the entire production chain is required to bring the India pot and bedding flower industry to the next level. And I always say, if you have an opinion about it, you need to do something about it. This is what we have been doing. One of the main reasons why we grew our team in India from just one key account manager that you see in the top middle, Mr. Gautam Sangle, with 4 technical sales managers, Abhilash Sin, Animesh Das, Anurad Singh, and Sachin Lahot, is exactly that we believe that bringing the India flowers industry to the next level requires a lot of knowledge sharing and engagement. And on the right lower image, you see the middle guy with the funny hat. Also indispensable for the India flowers team, Ivan Pozdnyakov, my co-host in this webinar. The aim is not only to help growers access our wide portfolio of genetics, but also to really train them in better growing practices. And together with Ivan, for instance, we organize the webinar Wednesdays, where we pick out one crop and give the tips and tricks on how to get the most out of our genetics. We focus on sanitation, germination, water management, nutrition, and all relevant topics that play a role in growing healthy and beautiful plants. We work very closely with our distribution partners in India to train growers and share knowledge. Like I said, during my visit and also afterwards, we discussed a lot with the team that they saw a trend emerging on landscaping. Flower parks being developed intended to appeal to a wide audience, like theme parks full of blooming flowers. It is this development of an entirely new industry in India that we often see in countries like China or Vietnam that we call landscaping. That is what we mean in this presentation by the landscaping industry. Landscaping involves a different, more complex value chain, and I will come back on that later on. If you compare it to the let's call it normal end consumer facing retail value chain, where the grower sells it directly to end consumers or through retail like a garden center. And the end consumer buys the flowers in the pot to put them in their patio or transplant them into their own garden. Because of this additional complexity in the value chain, we decided that it was good to share our knowledge and inspiration on this topic. So again, welcome to this first India landscaping webinar. A quick check tells me that so far there are no questions in the chat or the Q&A. Again, feel free to to leave your questions there. You can also save them for the end of the presentation. Landscaping as a concept. We will now go into what exactly landscaping is, what makes it different from normal gardening that, like I said, consumers do in their home gardens or on their patios with potted plants. And I will give some examples from other countries where we see a lot of landscaping. First, the two types of landscaping that we distinguish. First, you have the regular type, also known as the French type. Here, mostly annuals are being used to create large forms and shapes with colored segments, as you can see in the images. The second type of landscaping is the English type that we also call the natural type. Here, often perennials are also being used, and you can think of windy paths, rocky gardens, or plantings underneath a canopy of trees. Here, the landscaping, a lot of height structure is being used in the landscaping, making landscaping not two but three-dimensional. And later on in the presentation, I will also explain the fourth dimension of landscaping. Now let's look into some other markets. We start by some pictures taken by Kentaro Ushida, with courtesy of Tokyo Village Garden. You see snapdragons being used in theme parks, but on the right-hand side, you can also see theme parks where the flower is the main attraction rather than the roller coasters. Here, the aim of this Sunfinity garden is really to enjoy being amongst the flowers and, of course, taking Snapchat or Instagram selfies. My next image is a picture taken from France. You see here a very nice tricolor, the red, white, and blue, resembling the flag colors. In Europe, landscaping are often put in beddings that are prohibited from trespassing. So really more beddings than what you will see in the next slide. With the images of China, which I think it's fair to say that landscaping in China is really something else. You see here the three-dimensional landscape designs, very impressive, not so easy to build. And since many years, Chinese municipalities invest heavily in beautifying their parks. I think it's fair to say from the communist ideology to really uplift the people and positively impact the spirit of the inhabitants. But I think it's also fair to say that in the last few decades, increasingly, we see landscaping investments also motivated from a touristic point of view. That landscaping designs are often a fixed item in many organized tours in China. In China, 90% of the flower industry, pot and bedding flower industry, is connected to governmental landscaping. So only 10% of the entire market is taken by retail selling towards end consumers. And it's obvious that these numbers are only for pot and bedding. For cut flowers, it's completely different. In China, with its well-developed digital infrastructure in the urban areas, there is a very high quality, high value, and extremely fast supply chain of bringing fresh cut flowers at the doorstep of the end consumer. There is one slide that I could not resist in sharing with you as well. I got these images from my Chinese colleagues, how she and her team. On September 3rd, the Chinese people celebrated the victory of, celebrated and commemorated the victory of the Second World War using a red carpet of our beautiful Begonia semperflorens Bada Bing. So moving back to India, when we talk about landscaping, we focus on the use of flowering flowers. So our business is that of pot and bedding flowers. As an industry, there's obviously a lot more to landscaping than only our part. Landscaping and garden management, maintenance and management is what we call here in the Indian Landscaping Services Outlook. As you can see in the left bar chart, this industry is valued around 6.4 billion at the moment, US dollars, and growing at almost 7% compound annual growth rate. That's growth year on year. And this is even higher than the India's general economy annual growth rate, which is projected to be between 6.4 and 6.8 over the next decade. So why is this so strong? Key drivers for the economic growth, as we all know, are in India are the strong domestic demand, the rise of the middle class, people being able to spend more money, strong consumer spending, and improved household purchasing power. And we see this India Landscaping Services being in line with this growth and even slightly higher. So in this definition here, we include architects, construction, paving, irrigation, soil management, next to the planting of trees, shrubs, plants, and flowers. So to get a general, wide, holistic overview of this industry, we did a quantitative online market research, identifying all companies active in the landscaping industry. And in this exercise, we clearly identified that most of the landscaping companies are situated in the south and west of India. And it is not coincidental that here we also identify most of the flower growers in the country. So let's zoom in on the value chain of the landscaping industry. Like I said before, slightly more complex than the consumer-facing value chain. We can identify the following stakeholders. It all starts with entrepreneurs who commission a landscaping project. We call her or him the client, the builder, or the owner. This can be for residential, commercial, hospitality, or institutional purposes. They usually hire an architect who will design a layout that is often based on a theme or concept and will integrate in the landscaping zones into the project's purpose. Then landscape architects are architects who are specialized in the green design. They will select the plants, water system, soil. They have a functional and an aesthetic approach. And often, in turn, they outsource the execution of the work to landscape contractors, who then, in turn, are supplied by vendors and nurseries with plants, trees, pots, paving material, irrigation systems, fertilizers, you name it. Sometimes the irrigation of the landscape project requires special attention, And in those cases, irrigation experts are brought into the project to design and install drip or sprinkler systems for effective and efficient watering of the plants. Most landscape projects have an installation phase and a maintenance, a post-installation phase. And for that post-installation phase, maintenance agencies are hired to manage the plants, like pruning, irrigation, replacing plants when required. In the chart on the right upper corner, you see that a project usually has the following phases: project planning, design phase, tender or contract, execution phase, and handover and maintenance. The projected growth in the previous slide is sustained by the growth drivers that we have been able to identify, that you can see in the left down corner, left lower corner, rising real estate, international focus on ecology and sustainability goals, corporate financial space to invest more on employer well-being and branding focus on being green, and governmental attention to smart cities and green infrastructure. Finally, entrepreneurs active in the landscape industry have different ways of gaining revenue, as listed in the table in the right lower corner. Creatives usually work with design fees, whereas execution contracts are used by contractors based on hourly rates on labor and fixed prices for materials. The use of maintenance fees help companies to generate a steady cash flow, which helps making the company's future more sustainable. Earlier, we mentioned the underdeveloped young plant raisers business model as part of the value chain. And you see here also in the value chain that this is solely based on price per piece instead of adding quality guarantees as services to the offer. Then we go to the landscaper's product basket when it comes down to plants. Again, we zoom in here on the pot and bedding plants. And our research clearly showed that the landscapers have an overwhelming preference for perennials. They prefer to add perennials in their basket. They believe that the one-time investment of higher or premium starter material pays off in the long run, because plants don't have to be renewed that often. And another assumption is that perennials are more resilient in the harsh conditions of the landscape in India. Here, there are some important factors to take into account. First of all, many of the foreign perennials are bred especially for European or North American climates. That means that they are able to overwinter in a dormant stage. The plants lose their flowers, their leaves, and survive in the cold by depleting the resources in the winter that they have built up during summer. And in tropical territories, the average temperature doesn't go very low. Also, the day length reduces not as much further away from the equator. That means that plants can react differently on the changing of the seasons, and therefore it is very important for the landscaping industry to collect plant material from experienced and professional growers who know and understand the performance of the plants in the local climate. In some cases, a landscape design only based on perennials will not show a nice display year round. When it comes down to designing, it is very important to think four-dimensional, not only length and width and height, but also think in time. The area needs to be filled with color from start to finish. When this is a long project or even year-round, multiple years, it could be more cost-effective to renew parts of the design with fresh plants once or several times a year to really create that colorful, stunning display. And of course, it differs if the landscape design is the centerpiece of a very distinguished area or that it is more a filler in the background of lesser importance. But in general, we find the overwhelming preference for perennials by the majority of the landscapers not entirely justified. It could be enough when you just want to prevent soil from deteriorating by just planting some shrubs. But when it comes down to an inspiring, uplifting, colorful design throughout the years, under the Indian hot conditions, I think it's fair to say that we cannot go without animal color. And here we see many opportunities in the portfolio. Our Syngenta portfolio encompasses high-performing varieties on many aspects that are important for the landscape. Think of disease resistance, large plants, healthy and resilient plants, large double flowers, or a very high level of floriferousness. Our high-performance varieties in both segments can be selected for disease resistance, resilience of the plants, having double flowers, hot tolerance, drought tolerance, rain tolerance, and we have combinations of colors for every niche. And Ivan is going to tell more about that in a minute. Going over the key factors in plant selection, the climatic factor of temperature. You need to look at the average, the minimum, the maximum, because if you have cold periods, you need plants that are able to survive that extreme cold, and that's what we call plant hardiness. Same goes, of course, with heat. You need plants that are able to cope with the heat that is applicable for your location. Same with rainfall. It's not sufficient to just look at the total amount of rain that has been measured over time. It's also about the availability of surface water, and it matters if, I mean, I'm from the Netherlands. What we call rain is hardly what we've seen in the tropical rains showers in India. So the amount of rain that falls within a period, within a time frame, is even as important as the total availability of rain. Humidity. It's important to take into account that some plants prefer dry climates where others thrive in high humidity. Sunlight, not only light intensity, so how strong is the sunlight, but also the day length and also the change in day length. For instance, plants can react on growing day length day by day or reduction of day length. The wind, the frequency and the strength of the wind. Some plants have a very open plant habit and can are able to cope with very strong wind. Frost. Most plants are susceptible of getting damaged by frost, but of course we have some winter hardy varieties. Altitude impacts the temperature, the air pressure, and the sunlight in its UV exposure. And that all plays a role in how the plants adapt to their climate. Also, the temperature of the soil plays a role. The growing season length, the number of frost-free days or months suitable for growth, and finally the microclimate that requires you to really look at the circumstances of the location of your landscape project. That allows you for tailored plant choices in also within the landscape design to select the right plant for the right location. In the light blue area, you can see the URL of our website. Go to syngentaflowers.com/APAC. Go to the product selector and make use of the filter criteria to see which varieties are suitable for these climatic factors or colors. So the great advantage of our new website is that you can start at any point in your variety selection. You don't necessarily have to start with crop. You can also start with color. And finally, to wrap up the research that we have done with Viniac, we listed the largest business challenges mentioned by the landscapers and added our solutions next to that. So water scarcity, skilled labor shortage, inconsistent quality in amateur competition. This all requires a lot of education to really bring the standard practices to the next level. And the solution that we have for that is not only our portfolio, our products with drought-tolerant varieties, heat and cold-tolerant varieties, but also the ability to find that, making use of the filter criteria in our website, but also the lots of plant information sheets and care guides, technical guides that we offer on our website. Most of them being created by our plant whisperer, Ivan. These are meant to simplify the maintenance, to reduce errors, putting the wrong plant on the wrong location, and support your teams. We don't just want to be your supplier of seeds. We really seek to become your strategic partner to make available the enormous amount of knowledge that we have. And we do that with close by support. That is why we have the team in India who can support you and who are, of course, professionals on their own, but supported by a massive network of knowledge experts. So whatever your question is, they might not have the immediate answer, but they're able to get you the best possible answer very fast, because we have very short communication lines in our organization, and therefore are able to help you with a decisive answer to your question very rapidly. And we have launched various educational initiatives like the flower shows, the webinar Wednesdays, and the digital sheets that I just mentioned. And we all do this to help you as landscapers, growers, and the entire value chain to deliver more efficiently and profitably, and by doing so, really uplift and bring the industry to the next level. With that, we come to the conclusion of the first part. Now Ivan will take over, and he is going to go into more details of the crops. Ivan, floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you everyone who is joined us today with the webinar. And please, can we consider the next part? There, I will take a look at the technical tips which concern into landscaping crop, and we start to understand our portfolio. And we start to understand how to work with that portfolio, because this is a key thing which help you to be successful in the landscaping. And here in the slides, you can see how our new landscaping catalog, thank you for the Michael and for the marketing team, they created a new catalog where they collected all the topics, all the best crop for the landscaping, and you can use this QR code to get a more knowledge on that, and to get a more interesting information and more insights on the crops. And let's start to talk about what is our portfolio and how to handle that. Can you, Michael, show the next slide? We have more than 20 crops and more than 60 different varieties which suitable for the landscape, different type of landscapes. And how to use that? How to choose which kind of crop you able to use in your landscaping, because not every crop suitable for every land and for every landscapes. And here you can see on the right picture is Antirinum. It's more cold tolerant crop, and Begonia is more hot tolerant crop, or more made to say which likes more hot climate or warm climate. And how to choose the key, the best key to how to choose a crop is knowledge about your climate condition. And the climate condition is a crucial thing which help you to understand which kind of crop, which kind of varieties, which kind of series it is possible to use in your place. And as you can imagine, India is very big country. It's a really big country with many different type of climates, with the deserts, with the tropical rainforests, with the savannas, with the seashores, and you can tangle with a different pattern of the climate conditions. But we choose for you the main three top climate condition where the landscapes are available, and where the landscapes are mostly using to decorate the cities, the areas, the seasides. And here we split and we choose general climate patterns and keep in this table. We start to talk about, we start with from the cold and moderate climate, and I divide it into two parts: shading part and the light part. What it means? It means the shading area. It's area which shaded by the trees or by the big plants. As because we need to specify that, as because different crops suitable for the different type of condition, light condition, because in the same climate condition you can face and you can find a different light condition. And for this area, mostly suitable such crop like Antirinum, like a Viola or Pensis or Digitalis. And next one, next pattern is in hot and dry. Normally, this is a type of common tropical condition, hot and dry condition, especially in the summertime. And of course, this kind of climate also has changes during the year, has a weather changes during the year. It has more rainy time, and normally that came in the summer, and more drier time mostly came into the winter. And of course, this such crop as zinnia, very colorful, very nice, very with very vibrant colors and different type of tagetes is suitable for this, really suitable for this climate. And the last one, hot and humid, is mostly the seashore or a lower land condition. it mostly can be found in Maharashtra stage, especially closer to the seashore, and where you can find a hot and humid condition. It can be changed during the years, or it can be with the same weather around the year, like with rainy, with a hot condition or warm condition, doesn't matter. And such crop as a begonia, impatiens, and even catharanthus are suitable for this type of condition. And let's start to talk about the portfolio. What kind of specific species and what kind of specific type of crop suitable for the summertime and cold and moderate climate. You can use many different type of varieties, because the summertime in the this type of climate is normally you can find that in the northeast of India. For instance, in a Chandigarh, or of course it's a mostly central type, and like in Uttar Pradesh area, close to Delhi, you can find this kind of condition. In the summertime, you can or springtime, you can apply Antirinum, Begonia, Celosia, Pelargoniums, of course, Gazania, different type of species. And in a shading area, of course, it is more a limited assortment, because not all the crops able to survive under the too strong or too big canopy. But the few crops like a begonia, impatiens in Nicotiana is really suitable. It's able to decorate nicely this type of condition, and even it's able to perform very nice in that type of condition. And for the winter time, we have a bit shorter assortment, but here we have a more very valuable crop for the landscape, like a pansy and viola, and of course antirinum. And even in the shading condition, you can apply some of violas like Viola carnuta. And here in the bottom picture, you can see example of this type of crop. Here you can see the Viola carnuta belongs to the series Penny Pro. This is a new series, and here you can see the application in the landscaping under this picture taken from the landscape under the canopy, so under the trees crones. And let's start to talk about the next type of the climate. Is a hot and dry climate. Is mostly it is most common type of climate, and this, of course, summertime is really hard time for the crops, and so that's why not many type of the plants you can use there, as because the summertime in some places combined with not only with a hot temperature, or even with a quite strong rains. But some crops able to survive in that condition, like a catharanthus, which resistant to the Phytophthora gazania, and the helianthus. And in the shading condition, of course, not too many crops can be applied again. But in summertime, with a very strong sun, some of the trees able to lose the leaves, part of their crown, and this kind of crops can be grown in that condition, like a catharanthus, Gazania, helianthus, pelargonium, pentas, tagetes, and Cinia. But in the winter time, we have in this place more wider assortment. It's made to say the climate going up, I mean application going upside down rather than in a cold and moderate climate. And here you can see already many kind of crops, more than 15 crops are available for the open sun, and a bit short assortment available for the shading area, like a pentas and of course violas, because violas is quite shading tolerant crop. And let's start to talk about last pattern. Is even more hard condition to create a nice landscaping, but some crops is really suitable for that kind of condition. In the summertime, it's possible to use a begonia, of course, catharanthus, which resistant to or tolerant to the Phytophthora, pentas, and terrania. And in a shading condition, we have a limited assortment, like a begonia, impatiens, and pentas. And in winter time, if in your specific place you have a winter time which is normally more drier, here I kept as a under the stars specific crops which are suitable for your area if you have a more drier winter in this type of climate, like celosia, salvia, and viola. And of course, begonia, cosmos, helianthus, pentas are really suitable in any type of these pattern, climate pattern. And in shading, we have the same assortment: begonia, impatiens, and pentas. And with these kind of different pattern, you can very easily recognize which kind of crops you able to use successfully with a nice shape, with a nice habit, and with a floriferousness view. And let's start to talk about which kind of things you need to keep an attention to prepare your plants for the landscaping, because you can imagine that landscaping performance, it looks like you throw away your plants from the paradise to the real life, or from the home, from the parent home to adult life. So it is really stressful. It's really stressful activity, or very stressful time for your plants. So the main factors for the which can affect the landscape crop landscape performance is the next. First one, of course, this is soil quality. You need to check, and you need to understand, and you need to discuss preliminary. If you want to be successful, if you want to be the good supplier, please start to check with your buyer who will apply your crop into the landscaping. Or if you are buyer, if you end consumers who are applying the planting out the plants in the landscape in the municipality place, please pay attention for the soil quality. Next topic is of course, the watering, and please pay attention on the water management. Water management, I may to say, it's not only watering, it's even the irrigation. It's not only irrigation, it's also watering management, how to spread the water and how to let the water go through your landscape. And of course, the last one is a plant protection, is may to say the big good basement to build up the good landscape. And let's start to talk about one by one. Let's start to talk about the soil quality, and what we have to pay in attention in the soil quality. Here in this slide, I group the crop in the two different types. One first type is more tolerant to very poor or not really nice soil condition. Here you can see that such crop like Catharanthus, Celosia, Begonia, Gazani, Impatiens, and of course Tagetes. And this type of crop really tolerant to not perfect prepared crop. But second group is a crops which prefer a more nicely prepared soil with a lot of organics, with a lot of mineral elements. In this number, there are Antherinum, Begonia, Cleome, Helianthus. I may to say Helianthus able to survive in a different hard crop or sandy crop, but it requires very high quantity of the mineral elements in the soil. So that's why I keep Helianthus not in the left side, I keep it in the right side. But in general, Helianthus able to survive even in a hard soil. But if you provide the good level of the mineral elements, it will perform very nicely there. And let's start to talk about another soil condition. Here I keep the two group of crops as well. But I divide it on the pH, how to say it, on the base of the pH requirements. The pH is really critical or really crucial, may to say condition which you need to check before you start to apply the plant on a specific location. So the next one, and the next one is a mechanical composition. This kind of soil specific is not really crucial, but also need to pay in attention, because some crop really suitable for the sandy soil. Some crop it's really hard to care to claim soil. But in general, please pay attention on the mechanical composition of the soil. And next one, the watering management. As I mentioned before, watering management is really a crucial element, and especially you need to check when you start to check the soil, pay attention how the soil able to drain the water. Is it clay type of soil or sandy soil or a mixture of them, and how many organic matter there, because organic matter able to mitigate the water drainage, and it needs to take in a very uh, very big attention, may to say. And let's go to the next thing, organic matter. Organic matter is not a really big topic, it's not really big deal, but in other hands, I may to say it's able to help you to provide better water management. And next element is compounds of mineral elements. I really advise to check at least 3 main elements: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And in the ideal world, in ideal situation, it is really necessary to check other elements like a calcium in the first hand, the iron, magnesium, manganese, and other micro elements. And let's start to talk with the more critical elements. Here I keep the crop on the base of the pH requirements. In the left side, crop tolerant to higher pH, to the lime based soil. And here you can see the list of that. Scophea, Impatiens, Pelargonium, Pentas, and Tagetes, and a crop which not tolerant to high pH. Here I keep the most other crops, rest of the other crops, but please pay attention on the Catharanthus, Petunia, and Cynia. This crop is really, may to say the really requirable for, or may to say this crop not really sustainable to the high pH level. So that's why please check pH before you start to plant out into the soil. And this table or this classification will help you to choose proper crop for your location. If you have a lime-derived crop or lime-based crop with a high concentration of calcium, it is possible to use, and please, you can use the Cuphea Impatiens without any kind of fear that crops will not perform nicely. But if you have the clay, the lime type of soil with a high concentration of calcium, never apply Petunia, Cynia, and Catharanthus there. And let's start to talk about different specific of the crop, watering management. Different specific of the soil condition is watering management. Watering management is not only the watering. The watering management is a drainage management as well. Please look at the picture from the right side. Here you can see example of a trench specifically prepared to drain the water which coming through the strong rains. This kind of application will help you to avoid many problems, because rainy weather can come very suddenly, and they able to bring in a tropical condition very strong and heavy rain very fast. You can receive a lot of the huge amount of water in a 1 or 1.5 hour. And if you not provide this kind of drainage system, the area will be flooded, and the roots will get asphyxia, made to say asphyxia, because it will not be able to reach out the oxygen. And in this condition, the crop will stress because of this kind of overwatering. And let's start to go to the next slide, where I explain how to prepare your plant for this stressful activity, to the movement from the mother home to the adult life, or may to say the to the how to say it, real life. Yes, and there are a few good tools, which will help you to provide a more healthy plant and to prepare that to transplanting. And first of them it is of course, please don't forget to apply any kind of the different any kind of the different compounds and any kind of different biological protection, which will help you to prepare the plants, because these kind of chemicals or biological protection or biological compounds will help to prepare the plants and to make the plants stronger. Supportive chemicals is also biological product which help plants to be to survive and which help plants to become less stressful to any kind of improper condition. And of course, before you start to transplant, feed your plants well, because normally the landscape soil is not really rich in the different kind of mineral elements. So that's why you will be able to provide the good fertigation during the growing, and especially in the last watering. Please don't forget to provide a good level of the mineral elements of the fertilizer, and the high phosphorus concentration in this case, it's okay. Normally I advise not to use too high phosphorus concentration, but in this particular case I can advise you can use this kind of fertilizer like 18 18 18 or 15 15 15 with rather high phosphorus concentration, because phosphorus is mostly the limited element in the soils. And water plant well before you start to transplant, because the normal condition in our climate zone is high temperatures. In high temperatures, plants start to evaporate very fast, and if you provide the water, the plant will be able to adaptate to the new condition more smoothly and more and much more well, rather than the drier plant. And let's start to talk about the biological protection. Prepare your plants, and let's introduce your plant to their good partner. The most of biological agents is a symbiotic by bacteria or symbiotic fungi which able to live inside the soil. And in the table from the right side, you can see the list, a very broad list of different kind of organisms which able to help your plants to survive in the really cruel condition in the landscape. And let's start to talk about briefly about the chemicals. Which kind of chemicals will help to prepare plants to the transplanting? The protectors, any kind of protectors like isobion, Radifarm, and the Megafol. These kind of chemicals, I may to say it can called anti-stress. And of course, the chemicals on the base of the epiprocyanolides. Epiprocyanolides is a specific hormone which help plants to be prepared to unexpected and to improper condition, unfavorable condition in outside, and apply protection before transplanting. This is a very I would like to focus on this kind of application a lot. Provide this kind of application before you start to transplanting. So in the nursery, if you will apply these chemicals in a nursery by the drenching or by the spraying, it depends on the product. The plant will be prepared to the transplanting, and it is the better time 1 week before 1 week before you start to transplant the plant in the bedding. And of course, in this kind of application, this kind of tool I would like to finalize. I try to make it quite brief. I try to explain it in a brief way to go through the main topics which can help you to prepare your plants, but to be prepared much more and to prepare much more quality and to bring much more quality to your plants, please, you can visit our website, and please don't forget to visit our webinars when we are explaining how to take in care to receive the more quality plants and to prepare for the landscaping. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Ivan. We come to the conclusion of today's webinar. We talked about the landscaping industry and value chain of India's upcoming landscape industry. We gave an overview of what landscaping entrepreneurs find in preferences, in what they consider to be business challenges. And then Ivan went on with giving some tips and tricks on how to make the most with our genetics, how to select based on what criteria. We've received several questions in the chat that we were able to answer during the presentation. However, if you happen to have any further questions that have not been answered, feel free to reach out to any of the contact people you see in the slide from left to right. That's Mallikarjun Mangrule, head of APAC. And you also see Gautam Sangle, the key account manager for South Asia. And I'd like to say again, thanks to Ivan for sharing his knowledge and insights with us. Thank you for participating in this webinar. Your active engagement is highly appreciated. And we hope to see you all again soon in the floriferous industry of India. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.